Authorize.net integration for VTiger consists of three parts. First being where the customer can pay invoices online and information syncs back to VTiger. The second is where the user can schedule payments to be charged automatically on a certain date. And third, creating recurring invoices and then charging those on monthly, yearly, or quarterly basis. First, let's focus on the ability to pay invoices online. For example, let's open up one of our invoices we created, and we can see we have payments section. That's where all the payments are stored. So if we click here, and then we can see that we have 3 unpaid payments and there's 1 paid payment. So if I wanted to send this invoice to a customer and request for payment, I would then go to the document manager. This is used to generate invoice template and send it using a link to the customer. Document designer, we want to email it, and then we have our predefined email body, which is fully customizable. Select who it goes to and hit send. So once the customer receives the email, they're able to click on the link, so are we, and then see the invoice. So you can see all the invoice details. Again, this invoice is fully customizable in the document designer area. And then we have our pay online widget, and you can select to pay full balance or partial payments that we saw as part of the invoice. They can put in their own amount as well. And this integration supports credit card payments as well as e-check, which is ACH. So going back to our VTiger invoice, if I were to put in the credit card information and pay it, once the payment comes through, I would then see that payment on the payments button, and down below it would say show details, and I can see that the transaction has either failed or been approved. So as simple as that, you can send emails to your customers and request them to pay your invoices. They do that, and then the information syncs back to VTiger, and assuming the amount was paid in full, then the invoice status would update to paid, or if it's just partially paid, it would stay as partially paid. The second part of the integration is where you can create customer profiles and payment profiles and then charge invoices using that information. So for example, let's go to our organization list and we'll open Sunshine Incorporated. And to access the Authorize.net profile for this organization, you would go More and then Authorize.net integration. And once you get there, you can see there's some help text. And then down below, we already created a customer profile and few payment profiles. So if it's in your organization, you would just click to create a new customer profile, and the information gets pre-filled from the original organization. The name, the description, the first and last name. A few of the fields you'll have to fill in yourself, such as first and last name, likely email and phone number, but the address and the customer name gets automatically pre-filled. So this information then gets sent to Authorize.net application and gets stored there. So now that we have customer profile, which is required in order to have payment profiles, then you can create a new payment profile by clicking Add Payment Profile. And that's where you put in the cardholder's first and last name, phone number, fax number, as much details as you know, so the transaction does not fail due to incorrect data. You have your customer type, payment method, you can do credit card or bank. If I change it to bank account, down below the block changes with the bank account versus switching back to credit card, goes back to credit card information. Then you have you can set your payment profiles to be primary, and those primary ones will be used for automated charges. And then you have your automatically generated ID from Authorize.net, and the billing information, which is address and the credit card information. So assuming you created your first payment profile, now you can go to the invoice and use this payment profile to charge the invoice. So I'll go ahead and cancel this. So again, customer profiles, and then you can have as many payment profiles as needed, which would be different bank accounts and credit cards. You can also click to edit each profile. You can just edit the header information, billing, and the profile information, while you can also hit to edit payment details, which will allow you to update the credit card expiration and so on. So let's go back to our second part, which is manually charging the invoice using the payment profile and customer profile. And by the way, the customer and payment profiles, all that sensitive information is never stored on VTiger, and it's only stored in authorized.net secure database. So going back to our sales invoices, and I'll pull up the same invoice. And if I go to payments, because we set up payment profiles, now we can use those to apply the charges. For example, we have a $200 of unpaid. I can click on this credit card information. It opens up a confirmation pop-up asking which payment profile should we use to charge. Let's do the MasterCard, and just for sake of it, it gives us the amount to confirm. Once we hit submit, it'll either fail or succeed, and in this case, it looks like the transaction has been approved. And if I scroll down, I can see our $200 payment. I can do show details and see that the transaction actually was successful. And if I scroll all the way down, I can see that we already received 400 out of 1700, and the balance received and invoice total is automatically updated every time we receive a new payment or apply it manually. So that's how you can apply payments to existing invoices if you create your payment profiles and customer profiles. So the third part is the automated and scheduled payments. That includes recurring invoices as well. It's very similar to a subscription type of business. So in order to use the recurring invoices, what we need to do is we need to use sales orders to generate those invoices. VTiger has already built in a recurring invoice functionality, and it's under sales orders. So if I open up a sales order, and let's take the existing one for example. So if you were to create a sales order, and every sales order has a recurring invoice information, that's standard VTiger. If I edit, and if you check those boxes, you select your frequency, when you want the first invoice to be generated, when it ends, the invoice status, etc. Then once you save this sales order, it will then start generating invoices based on your frequency set, as well as charge them automatically. There's more than just filling out those fields. We have a very extensive details in our user guide how to properly set this up. So if you're really interested, visit our help desk articles, and you'll be able to follow step-by-step instructions how to set up recurring invoices that get automatically charged as soon as they get generated. And lastly, let's take a look at the settings area, how this is set up. If we go to settings, CRM settings, under other settings, you'll have your authorized.net. And you can see a few shortcuts that will take us directly to payment list, customer list, payment profiles, and transaction log. These are helpful for troubleshooting purposes. And then down below we have direct link to our help desk article on how to configure it. And lastly, we have ability to enable or disable authorized.net, and this is where you would set it from sandbox to production and put in your merchant and transaction keys to get the ball rolling. And that's it for the authorized.net integration.